can see over Banja Luka behind me. That gives you an indication that there's still building going on. In fact, in front of me there, the other side, which I'll show you in a minute, they're still building the hospital, the major hospital for the area. But that is Banja Luka behind me, from as high up as I guess we can get for the time being. Over to the right there, that's where we were, I believe, with the brewery and the monastery. Out into the distance there is Laktasi and Kakachi. And I guess to the left, if we continued north, we'd hit Germany and that distance there. So that gives you the orientation of where we are. Down to the right and to the south, you'd hit Montenegro, and I'm hoping to get there later this year. But you can see there's quite a bit of building going on, a bit of development. But it's in amongst the hills, you see, it's in a valley. But Banja Luka is Banja Luka is Spa, sort of a spa town. We'll stick with that, I'll live with that. In the middle of the hills. Isn't that cool? So, let's go down and find out more about it. Your introduction to Banja Luka. We're now just on the outskirts of Banja Luka, and behind me is an old part of a monastery. It's now a rehabilitation centre that you can see behind. So it's been converted from being the monastery. Yeah, from being the monastery, now it helps people again, just in a different way. We're going to have a closer look round, see what else there is. And yeah, let's crack on. And now we're going to go and see a
monastery.
A monastery.
Really cool.
How cool is that? We're going to go and see a monastery. And one of the greatest parts about doing this introduction to Banja Luka series for you, I'm being driven. I know it's a woman, I know. No need to get too scared. I've taken the life in my hands. Having just taken my life in my hands, being driven around the monastery, the rehabilitation centre, sorry. We're now going to go and see the monastery. I don't know if you can pick up. Oh, it disappeared. No, it isn't there. It is in the sky over there. Our biggest whacking great bird of prey, hovering and looking for his dinner. But having just had cake, we don't need to look for dinner. Not quite yet, anyhow.
Just for lunch.
Yeah. We need lunch. Yeah. We had cake 45 minutes ago. We now need lunch. So we're just about to walk into the monastery on the outskirts of Banja Luka. You can see how old it is by the state of the gates. But we shall follow Slaughter into the monastery with a roughy tufty at the entrance. Even though after all these years, just look how beautifully kept it is. The stained glass windows. It's a shame that they've got to put mesh on them, so they must have the similar sort of problem. There's possibly most parts of the world where wazzicks will come along and throw stones at the windows, which is a disappointing aspect. But have you ever seen a pair of knockers like that? And part of the monastery here is the original Trappist monks. That's what it's all about. I knew I'd find out eventually. The Trappist and the Trappist cheeses, of which I've already sampled some of the Trappist cheese. Very much like Edam Gouda, a very smooth cheese. I won't taste the wine, of course, because I ain't got a clue, because I'm not touching that stuff. But that's how, in 1882, they started the cheese making. But you can see over there now this, how splendid it is. The steeple on the top in the beautiful blue sky. There's its backdrop. And that's how they made a living. Quite a lot of old abbeys and churches decided to make a living that way. They had to produce food themselves because they were self-sufficient, and it kept going. So that's pretty cool, isn't it? Oh, and look what's over here. There's a little area where you can light a candle, I think. Let's go and have a look. A little area for prayer. Oh, and some old gravestones over there. We'll have a look at them as well. So here is an area where you would light your candle. There's some candles just on the top, look, some old candles that have been put on the top. And the Virgin Mary inside, so an area of worship on the outside of the monastery. That's gold, isn't it? Look at some of the old stone that's being used, it's carved. God, that must be hundreds of years old. So let's go over here and see some of the old stones. Now, within that area of worship there, they had some stones which were carved, and carved exactly the same as this. So it's been some form of building or some sort of temple that's crumbled, and they've used the stones to put a place of worship together. Just think how many hours it must have taken to carve all of that stuff, eh? Now the hut that's here is a little church, a little place of worship. When I first came, I thought it was just a shed to put stuff, you know, to store your grass cutter or your scythe or your hammers and your screwdrivers, but it's actually a place of worship. That's really cool. That's really cool. Now, for those of you who don't know, I'm going to tell you. The little church behind me, there's a reason why they're built like that. And the legend goes that back in the days when they would go marauding on the backs of horses, you know, with whacking great swords to slice off your head. We've seen films, haven't we, where you would see the horses and the riders on the backs of horses ride through the church doors. We're here. Well, they built them like that, so they couldn't. They couldn't ride through those doors on the back of a horse to maraud what they were up to. Clever or what? Keep watching. Now, having just left the monastery, and the monastery, of course, being a place where they would make wine and have merriment. Just to the left and behind me now, that you can see now, is a brewery. And like all good breweries, they're built close to running water. And that's what we're going to have a look at, because there is an old bridge. And this old bridge is an old bridge. With a, with a piece of... So what that's saying there is, don't cross. Because you can see further along on the sidewalk here where the planks of wood have given way and they've fallen in. But this is the old bridge for the area. If I go through, please tell me, Mother, although she's passed away. Well, yeah, you can feel it sinking in. But the bridge over there, that's the bridge that replaced it, which is approximately, how old? Approximately 6 years old. The new bridge was built. So until 6 years ago, believe it or not, they used to use this bridge to cross. Fantastic, isn't it? Rains that we've had recently have brought the river up quite significantly, as you can see, going around the trees there and everything. So we've had about 5 days, not torrential all day rain, but some interesting thunderstorms. So there we have an old bridge on the outskirts of Banja Luka, where the wood isn't exactly safe, is it? Adds to the excitement. Let's go and have a look at the brewery. So we walk away from the bridge, and there's the entrance to the brewery, Banja Luka Pivara. The makers of Pivo nectar, and that just looks there like a bit of a factory shop. as we, I guess, would know it, where you can go in and you can buy the Pivo, maybe even a t-shirt or a mug. The choice is yours. Now, we've come out from what I knew to be Banja Luka, but as you can see here, there are old houses next to new ones, and we're actually now in the centre of what was Banja Luka. Look at the houses just on the tops up there. Right on the top over there, there's some being built on the top over there actually, but they're the old houses that used to be originally Banja Luka. Now, what happened was that the new Banja Luka was built because then they could expand. They could build hotels, they could build shopping centres, they could make it more of a centre. But where we are now, if you look around, it's very built up, isn't it? As in, there's whacking great mountains and hills. So they couldn't build what they wanted to build in Banja Luka, where I am now. So Banja Luka was developed and built 5 kilometers from where we are now, so that they could build hotels, they could build shopping centres and parliament buildings and everything. And that happened in, when was it built? New Banja Luka, 1500s? When did it start to be built, the new one?
I think around 11th century.
So, in the 11th century, the new Banja Luka started to be developed. Because of the surroundings that we're in now being very hilly, it just didn't lend itself to making itself into a nice sort of town centre. Now that it does. So, this is old Banja Luka, where we were earlier, and where we're going back to, is new Banja Luka. I bet you didn't know that, did you? More facts coming. And now we're going to go and cross a bridge. Now this bridge here obviously joins both sides of the river. But just look at how much water's coming down that river now, because of all the rains that we've had. That's moving rather fast, isn't it? So all the way around the sides, where you can possibly pick up some old houses and new houses, this is what was originally Banja Luka, but not the Banja Luka that everybody would talk about now. Now, believe it or not, and I'm just going to spin right wheel, believe it or not, behind me now is a diving club. Not a woohoo diving club, but frogmen, scuba diving, and they dive in this river, and you can come along and go to the club and actually dive in the river, which may seem a bit silly, but there's a whacking, from what I understand, there's a whacking grade hole somewhere along here where they dive underneath. They go underneath and right down through to caverns underneath. I might be wrong, and if I am, I'll correct myself, but that's the story that I've been told. So a little bit further down there, that's where you can go diving, or at least somewhere on this river. Now, just to the south of Banja Luka and old Banja Luka, we've come to the rafting club. That might be because we're very close to the river. It's going along at a fair rapid rate of knots. But look at the seating facilities. How cool is that? Isn't that nice? You can see the rafts up there. So a little bit of whitewater rafting. We're now beginning to see that the area is for outbound and outdoor sports. So we've mentioned about the scuba diving, and we're going to go and see that later. But we've come a bit further south to look at the rafting club. And nicely enough, there happens to be a toilet. I'm not saying I need one, but I might as well take advantage. So, let's go through here, even though it looks like we can't, and that doesn't matter. But there, see the lovely seating? Right next to the river. What a fabulous setting. So here I am, and we are the camera has now got rabbit ears. So here I am with my pole fully extended, and we're at the rafting club. Now we're sitting out in this fantastic sunshine, and you can as well. You come to this area, you can come here because there's a cafe which I've shown you already. But what I want to show you is a site that will make you want to come here. I don't want you to get too excited, but when you see this, you're going to be as excited as an excited thing, with every reason to be excited. Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you sitting down? Watch this. Look at where we're sitting here, right next to the river, in glorious sunshine, in a polo shirt. The temperature must be now at least 45 degrees, and you've got ice.
Cheers!
And there is Slater, who's pinched the ice. There's no ice left for me. Who, everywhere we've been so far, has asked for Coke Zero, and the answer we have is ne. Nicht Coke Zero. But we don't care. So that's where I'm sitting right now, with a lovely girl of Slater, enjoying the sunshine, and you, get yourself to Bosnia, to Banja Luka, find out what's going on, because we're going to see more through the day. Sit here, you won't want to go home. Okay, so we've left the rafting club, having been there and had lunch, and one of the things that you've got to understand about this part of the world is that they'll help you. If you learn a little bit of their language, they'll help you, they understand. But try and speak the language. But we've travelled 4 kilometre south, back towards, or north should I say, back towards Banja Luka, and this is the diving club, and you can see again right next to the river. Now this is where you can see that the rivers come high, because where that water is flowing over there, that's normally where they have tables, as you can see down there. So the rains over the last 4 or 5 days have now made it so that there you can see it there now, look. It's quite spectacular, isn't it, really? And there we have all the diving gear, look. The wetsuit's ready for you. The compressor to put the air in, the tanks. You could go and swim in the river. Right, we're now in the centre of Banja Luka. Some of you may have seen film I've done before when we were here in November with snow up to places it shouldn't have been up to. But this will give you a different perspective on what the centre looks like now, because it's no longer white, it's green. But we're going up to what they call, or should I say, what Slater calls, Ugly Dude. And interesting that they should call a statue Ugly Dude. But here we have him. There is Ugly Dude. From 1882 to 1960. What does he represent?
He was the head of this part of the city.
So he was the mayor.
Yeah.
He was the mayor of the city at one certain stage.
Ban. We call it Ban.
The Ban. The Ban, the mayor. We know him the mayor, or the Ban, or whatever other language you're listening to. I'm sure you've got your own version. Tell me more about the Ugly Dude.
He's responsible for having a cultural center in Banja Luka, and he's responsible also for building nice buildings. Like on the side there is a municipality building that was actually planned during his time.
I'll show you that in a minute.
Over there is a cultural center.
I'll show you that in a minute.
And over there we have a President Palace.
A what?
President!
Oh, President Palace. You said President Palace.
Okay, sorry. I'm already thinking about ice cream. It's all about ice cream right now in my head.
It's all about ice cream and more. So over there is the President's Palace. We filmed that a little bit early. We had to ask permission before, but we're too far away to ask permission. That used to be the President's Palace, which is now the Municipal Centre. And over there is whatever you mentioned before. What's that?
This is municipality and that's a cultural center.
Okay, rewind. That's the Municipal Palace over there, or the municipal, and that's the cultural thing. But that is there, the President's Palace. I bet he's got ice cream in there.
No.
And Ugly Dude, him over there, he was responsible for all of this. And that's why he's there, so people can remember that he did something for the people. Long time before Tito, but Tito will follow in a later edition. You know what's coming, don't you? Let's crack on. One of the things that you've got to be aware of is, no matter where you go, you've got to have one of these. And in the centre of Banja Luka, that's what you have. Now what we're coming into is the market. All good towns have a good market. And this is the one in Banja Luka, with some fantastic looking strawberries. Yeah. How much?
4.5 convertible marks.
4.
And
4?
4.5.
Yeah, 4.5 convertible marks for how much? How much?
1 kilo.
Kilo?
Yeah.
Kilo for 4 marks?
Yeah.
Do you want some?
No.
Oh, okay. 1 kilo, 3 marks.
Yeah.
Why, those strawberries are bloody massive. I bet they aren't forced like they are now. They look, God, I love strawberries.
We will have a strawberry festival soon.
Yeah. But strangely enough, as you walk through the market, one of the things I noticed last year was a lot of the stalls sell the same stuff. So how the hell? I mean, there's another stall just on my left there, selling strawberries. How do they all make a living? So for this little vlog, what we can see here is an old train. That isn't a bloody old train. Yeah, bygger. Try and work that one out. You know, a little bit of a memento to the days gone by. God, that's old. You can tell by the style, can't you? But have I got something? Have I got something for you? Let me take you a little stage further in your Bosnia learning skills. We're going to go and cross the grass. Get off the grass! We get off the grass. Are you ready? Are you waiting? You can't wait, can you? You can't wait. Ready? Take cover. Take bloody cover. Look at that. You don't get that outside the council offices in the centre of any of your towns these days, do you? But then we go further round. A little bit further round. And there's a framework for a helicopter. But there's a tank. Clankety clank, I'm a tank. Look at that beauty. I would guess that's Russian, although I don't know. You can tell me. How cool, with the tracks on and everything still. How cool is that? There is the oldest house in Banja Luka. It's dangerous, but it's protected, so they can't knock it down or anything, so it's been held up. So that's the oldest house in Banja Luka. Okay, we're heading out of the centre of Banja Luka now. And just to the left we have the Kastel, which has foundations in the Ottoman Turkish Empire. And we're going to have a look in there, but we've got to go somewhere first. There is a grave. And the grave has a story with it, that two people in love and the man went off to war. It was reported that he was killed, and his girl got really upset about it and threw herself in front of a cannon as it was about to be fired. Obviously that didn't go very well, but just opposite the entrance into the Kastel we have the grave, and the grave itself is something that we're just about to go and see. That people put, they honour it. They still come here to worship. And so just round the corner, opposite the entrance, and the Kastel also has a restaurant too. Here we have the grave. There's the grave. It's still here. And it's still remembered, all for love. And people come up and they light candles for memory, for luck, to give luck to their own. And it says here, it is the legend of forbidden love, because of the forbidden love of the Hungarian soldier who lost his life on the European battlefield. Banja Luka beauty stood up in front of the gun that was announcing the noon by firing the shot. The gunner has already lowered the flaming torch at the gun's throat when he saw the girl, who leaned her chest onto the open barrel and embraced it by her hands. She just managed to say, "I will be faithful to you." Her dead body fell on the site of the monument where today people light candles for love that lasts forever. So this is the actual site that she fell. All for forbidden love. She wasn't supposed to be loving the Hungarian soldier, but she did. And now, even today, some hundreds of years later, it's honoured. So that's quite cool, isn't it? So Slate is going to put some candles.